Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Bridge City News. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. The Canadian border is reopened to fully vaccinated Americans. We chat with the mayor of Coutts, Alberta, at the Canada-US border to find out what that means for his village. And we see how a Christian organization has helped many in Germany rebuild their lives following devastating flooding.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Hal Roberts.
Thanks so much for joining us. On Monday, the U.S.-Canada border reopened to non-essential travel for fully vaccinated Americans who wish to visit our country. As Carson Marsouk explains, the village of Coutts is eager to welcome back traffic through their region, but are disappointed that U.S. customs are remaining closed.
Monday marked the reopening of the Canadian border to non-essential travel for fully vaccinated Americans coming into Canada. Village of Coutts Mayor Jim Willett says the village is happy to start getting traffic passing through, but is disappointed that the U.S. customs remains closed to Canadians.
Everybody was very disappointed when the Biden government said, well, wait a minute, we're not opening up until at least the 21st. There's a lot of people here who are really looking forward to it opening up in both directions because they want to meet with family and friends.
To be eligible, travelers must live in the U.S., have had their last dose of the vaccine 14 days before, and show proof of a negative COVID-19 test that's no more than 72 hours old. They are also required to use the ArriveCAN app or online web portal to upload their vaccination details. Mayor Willett says although traffic to the States remains closed, he's looking on the bright side of having it partially reopened.
Now that the border is opening up, we can expect that families here who have been waiting to see people on the other side, they're going to get to see them. They can come across. All the meetings will be on the north side. So maybe that'll help us out. We'll have more restaurant business because somebody needs to come over and have a coffee with their family.
The reopening now includes non-essential travel, and Mayor Willett says with tourists crossing the border, he's anticipating to see an increase in travelers.
The missing component has been the tourism component. And so, of course, as we get more and more people coming this way, and going back the other direction, well, it's going to make a big difference.
The border remains closed to Canadians until at least August 21st. For Bridge City News, I'm Carson Marsouk.
Meanwhile, in the Niagara region in Ontario, American tourists were eager to cross the border in an effort to explore Canada's famous wine country. They were welcomed back by local business owners who rely heavily on tourism and have been feeling the pinch for more than a year of pandemic restrictions at the border.
They were so friendly. We gave them our documents. They asked us typical questions. What's in your car? Do you have any firearms? Of course, we don't have anything like that. I just have my two children, Spencer and Jillian Steves. We're a Steves family, and we're so happy to be in Canada. This is our first time.
First time ever in a pandemic, too. Oh my gosh, get out. What are you guys doing? What are your plans?
We're going to go to Niagara Falls. We're so excited. We're going to take a whirlpool boat tour.
How long did it take to cross?
I would say 90 minutes.
90? Not too bad then. That's
no,
not
it wasn't bad at all. No, they worked really efficiently and quickly and very friendly, and yeah, it's so great to be in Canada.
So is it your first time in Canada in a while?
It's our first ever. Yep. So we're excited, and it opened up on her birthday, so that makes it all the more special.
I've always wanted to see the Niagara Falls. I'm a big nature person, and so I just really wanted to see it so bad. And it just happened, like she said, to be on my birthday, so it's very, very special.
Now, with the reopening of the Canada-US border to American travelers, airlines based in the United States are now able to land at other Canadian airports. That includes the Winnipeg-Richardson International Airport. Officials say direct flights from the U.S. can now land at the airport, but it'll be another month or so before the first international flights arrive in the city. A spokesperson says they expect to see Delta flights return in mid-September. Alberta's pediatricians have sent a letter to Premier Jason Kenney urging him to rethink plans to end mandatory isolation for COVID-19 patients. The Alberta Medical Association section of pediatrics says it also has concerns that ending COVID-19 testing in the community and contact tracing could lead to a threat to children. The letter says it is imperative to continue public health measures until vaccination is improved for kids under the age of 12. On August 24th, Lethbridge City Council will hold a public hearing on Bylaw 6275, which is the Railway Relocation Lands Area Development Plan. The main goal of the bylaw is to remove a land parcel at 802 2A Avenue North, which is the current spot of the Alpha House in our city. Now, this will allow for the facilitation of a rezoning application to authorize additional land uses in the area. Bill Ginther, the executive director of the Lethbridge Soup Kitchen, says he believes this is meant to allow for the potential of a new supervised consumption site.
One of the things that also surprised me is that the amount of or the types of facilities, anticipated facilities that they are including in that application, including a drop-in center, a soup kitchen, which already exists, a food bank, which we have 2 of already, a shelter and stabilization, which already exists, a substance use, and that's what I'm thinking. I know that is referring to the consumption site because it's a substance use, and then the last is a recovery facility.
Now, a spokesperson from Alpha House Lethbridge told Bridge City News this rezoning application is meant to change the bylaw to allow for medical support in a detox setting in the current building and not institute a new SCS. The Alberta municipal elections are coming up on October 18th. In Lethbridge, incumbent Mayor Chris Spearman has decided that he's not running again. Bridget Mearns, a 2-time city councillor, is gunning for the mayor's seat in our city. Bridget says she would like to bring more unity when it comes to Lethbridge City Council.
What needs to happen, though, is having the leadership where it is understood as a foundational basis that there is a respect for everybody who's in that city's council chamber, the equally representing and elected to be there. So being able to create that foundation, creating a forum where healthy and respectful debate can happen, but then a decision is made, and that becomes unified vision and direction of council, and that's up to the leader to happen.
Make sure you catch the full interview with Lethbridge mayoral candidate Bridget Mearns and BCN's Jeanette Rocher coming up later in our newscast. With the recent news that Taber Mayor Andrew Prokop will be running again, a new candidate has declared his intention to challenge the top spot. As Micah Quinn explains, the mayoral hopeful says he's running on a platform of transparency, unity, and growth.
Ken Holst has spent the majority of his life in the town of Taber, and he says his main purpose in running for mayor is to make a true difference for the citizens.
I don't think we're getting everything that we need to out of our current council and municipal fathers that are sitting there at City Hall.
Holst says one of his main platforms is based on the idea of being transparent.
There are things that have to be in closed session that have to be private with a mayor and council. But a lot of it should be open. A lot of it should involve the community. A lot of it should be seen and people understanding what it is that we're doing. If we make a decision, we should be explaining why and showing the research that we've done, the facts that we've collected to be able to make those decisions, and that will help people understand what it is that we're doing.
Holst is focusing on unifying Taber through the varying amount of social groups that live in the town.
We've got a bit of a slogan that, together we're stronger. We've heard that a lot around the world and in different things. And, I think Taber, together we're stronger, is a hashtag that we're also using because I really believe that as we work together, as we unify, regardless of, race or religion or ethnic background or beliefs.
Holst says Taber needs to grow by looking for businesses to come in and help the local economy.
And that will help us just be a better town, and through that we can get some of the things that we need. Proper cost housing, affordable housing is critical, things for our youth to do, and the list goes on, and I think those 3 things will really accomplish that.
The Taber municipal election will take place on October 18th. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
Alberta firefighters had to deal with another church fire. This one occurred in northern Alberta. RCMP say the blaze was deliberately set at the Fox Lake Community Church on Saturday night. Local firefighters doused the flames, but say the interior of the building was badly damaged. Officials are asking anyone with information about the incident to come forward. Manitoba is signing on to Ottawa's plan to implement $10 a day childcare for families by the year 2023. Officials say the Liberal government is committing $1.2 billion to Manitoba over the next 5 years. It will also be used to create 23,000 new early learning and childcare spaces in the province and add extended hours for children whose parents work in the evening. The Trudeau Liberals have already signed childcare deals with BC, Quebec, Nova Scotia, Yukon, PEI, and Newfoundland and Labrador. The city of Duncan on Vancouver Island is putting out a call for a new ambassador after retiring its town crier. Officials say times are changing and Duncan needs to find new ways to represent the community. Outgoing town crier Ben Buss says he's disappointed the city is dropping a tradition with such strong historic roots.
Oh, yay! Oh,
I am extremely disappointed. Number one, it came as a surprise that they would stop the appointment. Number two is that they haven't given me any real reason for doing it. It's not logical. I mean, there's always ways of working things out by talking, but they haven't done that. They've just cut it, and they come out with the fact that it's associated with the graves at the Kamloops Residential School and the 93 recommendations put out by the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. And I do not see the connection. There is no connection. It's a British, it's a Flemish, Dutch, and Commonwealth culture. I mean, where they all have these town criers, and they're all colourful. They all do wonderful jobs in the community, supporting the community and fundraising and things like that. And they always add colour.
Thanks to weekend rain, the wildfire risk in British Columbia is now rated as low to moderate. Forestry officials, however, say it won't be long again before woodlands dry out and extreme danger resumes. Temperatures in the mid to high 30s are expected by later this week from Kamloops to Vernon. That's the same area where the White Rock wildfire has destroyed properties in Monty Lake and forced thousands of people to evacuate. The Wildfire Service says roughly 270 wildfires continue to burn in BC, mostly in the southern interior and Okanagan regions. Close to 6,500 square kilometers of land have been charred since the start of the wildfire season on April the 1st. Meanwhile, residents of 79 properties in southeastern BC can breathe a little easier now that the Regional District of Central Kootenay rescinded an evacuation alert. Certain properties were threatened by the Akokali wildfire along the eastern shore of Kootenay Lake north of Creston. 81 others remain on alert as the 31 square kilometer fire is active but being slowed by Sunday's downpour. 31 wildfires are currently listed as either highly visible or a threat to life and property in British Columbia. The largest is the Sparks Lake fire, which is covering just over 771 square kilometers and is still out of control northwest of Kamloops. People living in the scenic forest lands of Northern California faced a weekend of fear as wildfires threatened to reduce thousands of homes to ashes. The DIXIE wildfire that destroyed much of the Gold Rush-era town in Greenville also encroached upon more than 10,000 buildings in the northern Sierra Nevada region. The fire engulfed an area larger than the size of New York City. The blaze has now scorched close to 464,000 acres of land and has become the second largest wildfire in the state's history. The fire is only around 21% contained, and 40% of Plumas County residents are under evacuation orders. As the World Health Organization is calling for a moratorium on COVID-19 vaccine booster shots, experts say people should make their own risk-based decisions.
The moratorium is all about, for those who've decided that they may want to use booster doses, et cetera, trying to put a hold on those policies until and unless we get the rest of the world caught up.
It makes much more sense to try to get those vaccines to populations that haven't been vaccinated yet.
I think banning boosters is a mistake because it also fails to understand and acknowledge that there is medical nuance here. This is depends dramatically on the person's risk.
I am fully vaccinated. I have had 3 doses of the vaccine. I've been fully vaccinated for a few months now. Really boiled down to the fact that I have liver disease, I have asthma, so I have comorbidities. I feel good, but I don't like that I had to go in and kind of lie to get it. It made me feel uncomfortable about it.
With more than 600 colleges and universities in the United States now requiring proof of COVID-19 inoculations, an online industry offering fake vaccine cards has sprung up. Recent reports say dozens of students have said that they're aware of the fake cards. Sellers list COVID-19 vaccine cards, certificates, and passports for sale, some costing as much as $400 US. School officials say they worry that unvaccinated students with forged credentials might cause an outbreak. Samaritan's Purse is partnering with Two All Nations to aid many in Germany who've been impacted by the recent devastating floods. To date, more than 1,500 volunteers have helped over 360 people clean out their homes and businesses while offering encouragement and comfort.
It was just a dream to live by the Our River because of the water and the mountains around you, and it was just a beautiful place, a wonderland. But now it's really a nightmare
It's shocking to see Germany like this.
Houses was full with water.
I can't believe it. I can't say the words that would describe what happened here. It's just, I don't know, like a war.
The Aar River unexpectedly, within 30 minutes, rose more than 10 meters. Thousands of houses have been flooded. The death toll is in the hundreds.
I've always thought we never have disasters here in Germany, and now we have this massive flood.
Samaritan's Purse has an office in Berlin, Germany, one of our affiliate offices, and they have been preparing to serve with us around the world, working with our Christian partners to all nations, with the local seminary, with local churches. We've been able to mobilize more than 1,000 volunteers, and we are here helping in Jesus' name.
With help of the software, we are getting the needs, documenting them, and matching them with the manpower we have.
Samaritan's Purse, we helped during this flooding by mudding out all the basements. We helped getting all the stuff that was inside the houses out of it. We cleaned up everything, and we really wanted to encourage people and show them that they're not alone.
Having your teams here supporting us is overwhelming our hearts. The work which we planned to do within a week was done within a few hours. There's so much suffering in here, and it's not Christ-like to stay at home. That's why I'm here, and I want to actively live out what I preach to my friends and my family every day.
It's a good way to not just speak about the gospel, but to show the gospel, to show the love Jesus gave to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much that you are here and help us.
When you hear that people come from America, from all areas in Germany to help and work, gives them so much hope and faith for the future. This is so amazing and so cool.
I pray that as people are searching for answers, why did this happen, that in some way or another, our work and the work of Christian partners here will be salt and light, and that they would come to know Jesus as Lord and Savior in their lives.
The Canadian Football League was finally back after a 600-day absence. Now, many of us are diehard football fans. We're pretty happy to watch some of the action. Now, some close games, too, with the Calgary Stampeders being beaten 23-20 by the Toronto Argonauts and the Edmonton Elks losing 16-12 to the Ottawa Redblacks. Earlier, the Saskatchewan Roughriders took on the BC Lions, with tens of thousands of fans coming out to watch the game in Regina.
Amazing, a little terrifying. I'm gonna say I was a little worried. There was some trepidation about whether or not to come. I'm disabled from a fall, and I'm also immune compromised, so there were some concerns, but I'm comfortable with the people that are around me, and I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna be doing my version of jumping up and down and screaming. I'm just gonna be elated. Football is something that has always brought me joy. So I just can't wait.
It's really feeling good right now. It's not too crowded. Everybody looks like it's not as loud as it usually is, but I think we'll get there.
We'll wait till we bring it out.
Yeah, wait till we bring the team out, and then it'll get loud.
It feels fantastic. It is just great to be here.
And you know, the Riders did not disappoint their fans by beating the BC Lions 33-29. Great to see CFL action once again. And great to see the sunshine here again at southwestern Alberta after the rain clouds moved on, but it was much needed rain, right? But hot temperature and sunshine will continue for the rest of this week. Complete weather details are coming up. We had some light rain earlier today in some areas of southwestern Alberta, but the rain clouds moved on, and tonight, just a few clouds expected with a low near 14. Tomorrow, expect a mixture of sun and cloud with a high near 25. Mainly sunny on Wednesday with a high of 31. Partly cloudy on Thursday with the mercury dipping slightly to 25. Friday, a high pressure system returns, clearing out the clouds and giving us a high near 29 degrees. Even warmer on Saturday with a high expected near 34. Sunshine and 33 degrees for Sunday. Checking the almanac, the average high for this time of year is 26 degrees and an average low of 11. The highest temperature in this state was 37 back in 2000, and the record low was 3 degrees in 2001. Sunrise was at 6:13, sunset at 9 p.m. Checking the national forecast for tomorrow now, it should be mainly sunny and a high of 26 degrees for Victoria, BC. Just a few clouds and 24 is on tap for Vancouver. A good chance of showers and 21 degrees for Calgary on Tuesday. Clearing and 22 for Edmonton. Just a few clouds and 21 in Regina. Light rain and 22 is on tap for Saskatoon. A good chance of showers and 24 degrees for Winnipeg. Thunder showers and 28 degrees for Toronto on Tuesday. Thunder showers as well in Ottawa with a high expected near 32. It should be mainly sunny and 33 degrees for Montreal. In Atlantic Canada, just a few clouds and 29 for Fredericton, New Brunswick. Periods of drizzle at 26 for Halifax, Nova Scotia. Mainly sunny and 28 degrees in Charlottetown, PEI. And in St. John's, Newfoundland, expect a few clouds and a high near 23 degrees for Tuesday. German pharmaceutical maker BioNTech, which developed a COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer, saw its profits surge in the second quarter of this year. Company officials say they made a net profit of close to $4.1 billion from April to June. That boosted net profits in the first half of the year to more than $5.76 billion, compared with a loss of more than $209 million in the first 6 months of last year. The company said the windfall from its mRNA-based COVID-19 vaccine will help it to develop drugs against cancer and other diseases. A U.S. federal judge has granted Norwegian Cruise Line's request to temporarily block a Florida law banning cruise companies from asking passengers for proof of coronavirus vaccination before they board a ship. A U.S. district judge granted the preliminary injunction in a lawsuit challenging the state's vaccine passport ban, which was signed into law in May. The state's attorneys said the law's aim is to prevent discrimination against passengers who are not vaccinated. Norwegian says vaccine proof is needed to safely resume its cruises. A number of major Canadian companies are releasing their earnings reports this week. Toronto-based restaurant company Freshii will release their Q2 results late Tuesday, while luxury parka maker Canada Goose and grocery chain Metro will release Q1 and Q3 results on Wednesday. On Thursday, both Cineplex and Canadian Tire will unveil their second quarter results. Barrick Gold says its second quarter profit increased 15% from a year earlier to $411 million US. The Toronto-based gold miner says revenue declined from $3.06 billion to $2.89 billion from the second quarter last year. Gold production dropped around 70,000 ounces, while the average realized gold price rose 2.4%. Barrick says it earned 29 cents per share on an adjusted basis, beating analyst expectations of 26 cents. Now, here's a look at today's markets. The TSX was down 38 points on the day to finish at 20,437. The Dow was down 106 points to 35,102. The S&P 500 was down 4 points to 4432, and the Nasdaq was up 24 points on the day to 14,860. West Texas Intermediate oil was down $1.80 to 66.48 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 8 cents to 406 US. Gold was down 7 cents to 1729.87 US an ounce, and silver was even at 23.45 US an ounce. Wheat is at $425 per metric ton. Barley's also at $425. Canola's at $8.84, and corn is at $450 per metric ton. Live cattle were unchanged at $123.20. Feeder cattle were down 55 cents to $159.30, and lean hogs were up 15 cents to $108.90. The Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours to $79.50 US. Recapping one of our top stories this hour, American tourists are now able to visit Canada for the first time in 17 months. Canada officially opened its borders on Monday to fully vaccinated U.S. citizens and permanent residents. Many Canadian business owners were excited to see cross-border shoppers again, including those here in Alberta at the Coots border crossing and in Ontario in the Niagara region. American travelers will need to submit proof of vaccination and other travel details at least 72 hours before arriving in the country, whether traveling by land or by air. The Alberta municipal election is coming up on October the 18th. Up next, we chat with a Lethbridge mayoral candidate and former two-time city councillor Bridget Mearns. That interview with BCN's Jeanette Roche is on deck.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. The Lethbridge Folk Festival is taking place Saturday, August 14th at Legacy Regional Park's Belvedere Amphitheater from 1 to 7 p.m. Enjoy a day of free, family-friendly entertainment, live music, delicious food truck offerings, and more. The festival will feature folk, roots, and blues music performed by local bands Celtic Roots, the Steve Keenan Band, the Junkman's Choir, plus other musical artists Scott Cook, May Davis, and the Traveling Mabels will be performing. For details, visit lethbridgefolkclub.com. Fort Whoop-Up and New West Theater partner up to provide a fun and exciting dinner theater experience called Trader Tales, taking place Friday, August 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. Take in a private tour of the fort, enjoy a relaxing wagon ride, and delicious dinner. The evening culminates with an intimate performance featuring New West Theater actors. Cost is $45 per person. For tickets, visit fort.galtmuseum.com. And that's your Bridge City News community calendar.
Municipal elections will be taking place across Alberta on October 18th, and today we have the opportunity to speak with one of our Lethbridge mayoral candidates. She's no stranger to City Hall as she was a two-term city councillor. Bridget Mearns, welcome to Bridge City News. So great to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, Bridget, can you tell us a bit about yourself, your background, why you decided to run for mayor's office? This, of course, is your second time running for mayor, actually. You ran back in 2013 against Chris Bierman. So it's obviously something you're very passionate about.
You know, I think you opened that really well. Public service is something that is core to who I am. Those are the values that I hold. I knew when I left City Council in 2017 that I might come back someday, and this just felt like the right opportunity. I had been meeting with a number of people who encouraged me to run. I listened to what they had to say. I recognized that I shared the same vision for our city that they did. And so I sat with my family and I spoke with my network and was encouraged to go for it. And I'm pleased to do that.
That sounds great. Now, Bridget, you're currently the executive director, right, of BUILD, so Building Industry and Land Development Association.
The executive officer.
Executive officer. Okay. So if you were voted in as mayor, what would happen to the BUILD organization? Would you still have your hands in that?
No, that would be something I would absolutely step away from. So I would resign from this position and they'd replace me.
Okay. Talk about your position there a little bit, what you've been up to the past number of years.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's a big one. Well, it's a membership association, like you said, for land developers and home builders. But our focus has been over the last couple of years is a real focus on affordability. So looking at ways how development is done in the municipality, but also advocating at provincial and federal levels around mortgage stress tests. 30-year amortization. Locally, we've been looking at the land use bylaw. We've spent a significant amount of time with the municipal development plan. We've consulted on the municipal housing strategy. Those are just off the top of my head. We have a very close relationship, and our focus really is to make the land industry vibrant because it is one of the largest employers in our city, but it's also important to our citizens to have great housing choices and neighborhoods.
Yeah. Okay, so getting back to the election here. So Bridget, you say that you want to build bridges across the issues that divide us. So certainly one of the most divisive issues in our city has been the debate over the now closed supervised consumption site. So do you believe that another SCS would be helpful to our city, or are other solutions a better option?
So this is one of the issues that sprung me into action and why I wanted to run for mayor. This is an issue that divided our city and it divided our city council. It became a wedge issue. We do have an overdose prevention site at the shelter. They are looking to rezone and bring that inside to the building so that it has the proper supports around it. The issue became about whether or not harm reduction is a proper method of dealing with addiction, when we should have been talking about it globally. We should have been talking about the issues that are affecting homelessness and addiction. Talking about the support services that happen around a harm reduction. So it really isn't either or. even though that's where the discussion was stuck. This is about making sure that we have a plan to deal with all of the issues that are affecting the drug crisis and the homelessness issues that we're seeing in the city.
So if the province and the city decided to go ahead with a new supervised consumption site, or perhaps a dry site, similar to, say, the mustard seed proposal, do you think that there are some potential places in our city where this could work?
I absolutely believe there are places in the city for this to work. Looking at things like this long term, we can look at how development is affected using the land use bylaw in new developments and ensuring that we've got the social infrastructure already in new developments moving forward. But we always run up against the issue of NIMBYism. But I absolutely am convinced that this is something that we can solve together as a community and experts. This isn't an issue that's unique to Lethbridge. This is happening around North America. There are great examples in other municipalities where they're dealing and have had some success in this area. I turn to the Calgary Drop-In Center that have both dry and wet floors. They have day services. They have laundry for services and shower opportunities. So there really is an ability to bring some dignity to those who are suffering with these challenges. And we can do that together in a way that's meaningful and deal with an issue to bring us forward into something better.
Now, Bridget, you are no stranger to City Council. So in your opinion, what needs to change at Lethbridge City Council in order to bring about less division?
So just to clarify, it's absolutely healthy for city councillors to have differing opinions. They're elected representatives and they represent our community. Our community isn't always agreeing on the same thing, so neither should your city council. What needs to happen, though, is having the leadership where it is understood as a foundational basis that there is a respect for everybody who's in that city's council chamber, they're equally representing and elected to be there. So being able to create that foundation, creating a forum where healthy and respectful debate can happen, but then a decision is made, and that becomes unified vision and direction of council, and that's up to the leader to happen. When you see that there's division, it's when decisions become undermined, or you see these things become wedge issues. And if you see them there, you'll see them in our community.
Now, Lethbridge keeps scoring very poorly in the Crime Severity Index. Any thoughts on how you would go about reducing crime and making our city a safer place?
Yeah, so the Crime Severity Index, there's a couple of things to note about that. One, probably most notable, is that it doesn't include any municipalities that have police forces that are RCMP. It's only municipalities that have their own force. So when you add in those municipalities like Red Deer, we're actually 20th on the list. But to be clear, 20th is not great either. So it's really important that we continue to focus on those determinants of crime. So again, the homelessness, the drug crisis, making sure that people have the supports that they need in place, whether it's in recovery or transition or just day-to-day day supports. So addressing that, there's no one quick fix, there's no one solution, but focusing on what those determinants are will go a long way to seeing some success.
Now, Bridget, should our city get hit by another wave of COVID-19, how would you handle the situation for our city, keeping us safe while not hurting the economy?
Right. So this is obviously a very timely discussion with the province removing all of the public health measures. I've heard a lot of concern from employers, employees, parents, and it's legitimate concern. The fact of the matter is, to make decisions like this, you rely on the chief medical officer of our province, who relies on the best evidence they can. It is up to the provincial government to do a health mandate. That being said, if there were to be a situation where we felt that the province was not following through on that mandate, and we were seeing some concerns here in our city, it would absolutely be up to mayor and council to have those discussions.
So would you reenact a mask mandate, for example?
Well, I think those are discussions that you'd have to have. I don't think having a hypothetical conversation around it is helpful. All of those things have to be determined based on the information that you have at the time.
Okay.
But the first and foremost responsibility would be to continue to advocate for the province to take on that responsibility.
Right. Now, Bridget, First Nations issues are very important to you. So what, practically speaking, needs to happen to achieve reconciliation in our city?
I think there's been some really great work done on this front. Lethbridge, from what I understand, is in the forefront of other municipalities in dealing with this issue. Having Oki as our official greeting, having the Reconciliation Advisory Committee, having a presence of Indigenous peoples in our municipal development plan. There's lots of good stuff coming forward. It's important we continue with the truth, learning that, and then moving towards that reconciliation, remaining with close ties with our First Nations communities. I want to read you something because I was prepared for this question. And this is a clip out of the Truth and Reconciliation report. Reconciliation must create a more equitable, inclusive society by closing the gaps in health, social, and economic outcomes that exist between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canadians. Right there is the perfect directive on where our city needs to continue to go.
Wow, thank you for that. Now, Bridget, there's quite a bit of ground to recover, obviously, when it comes to our local economy, with many businesses having to close or cut back due to the pandemic, unfortunately. So what's your plan to improve things for our local businesses and get people working again?
So first and foremost, we have to be listening, asking and listening our local businesses on how we can support them. But as a municipality, there are a number of ways that we can do that. Operationally, of course, so making sure that we're an efficiently run operation and they continue to see values for their tax dollars. But there's also things like investing in economic drivers in our community. Exhibition Park is a really great example of that. So not only does it create jobs during construction phase, but it will continue to create jobs as it opens and attracts businesses to our city. The third part of that is the reputation of our city. So making sure that we have the message of how incredible our city really is. And we're not focusing on what challenges us, but we're focusing on what makes us great. So those are our post-secondary institutions. Those are our wonderful parks and amenities. Those are our resilient and creative businesses. It's the compassion of our people. There's so much that we have to offer in our city, and that needs to be first and foremost in our messaging coming from the city.
Now, along the same vein is that you've been very active with tourism, Lethbridge, over the years. So how can we bring more tourism to the city?
So again, going back to the investment in exhibition, which I've been nurturing along for 9 years. And so it's great to see it funded. It's going to have a great impact for us. Continuing to invest in the support around it, like an airport, seeing those kind of things will be important. Tourism Lethbridge is a marketing organization, so making sure that it's properly funded so that we are getting the message out about how incredible our city is and supporting that new investment that we're making at Exhibition Park. All of that will continue to grow our tourism in our area. Really, we're a wonderful place, and it's just a matter of making sure everyone else knows it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, inclusion is also an important issue to you. Can you maybe share what an inclusive city should look like in your view?
So that it's such a big thing to say inclusive, but really what it means is that everyone can equitably participate in the life here in Lethbridge. It's going to look different for each person and how they engage in that, but having that equitable ability or opportunity, so that means accessible, that means affordable, that means meeting people where they are and supporting them where they are. That's what an inclusive city looks like.
Mm-hmm. I know I threw a lot of questions at you, but what would you say to viewers in wrapping up why they should vote for you on October 18th?
Well, I know that we haven't had a whole lot of time here, and the questions that you've asked are really big ones, and I have a lot more to say about them, and I will over the next 2 months as we campaign, and I continue to meet with our citizens and business and families and parents and loved ones and friends. But at the end of the day, I'm bringing forward a vision I believe I share with the citizens of Lethbridge, and it is a vision where we build on our strengths and not focus on our challenges. We address our challenges 100%, but that's not where we live. We really are a hopeful city. We're a vibrant city. I bring the government experience, I bring the passion and the skills to drive. And I offer that to the citizens of Lethbridge to move us forward to building a brighter Lethbridge together. I offer the broad experience as an experienced public servant, but also as a business leader, as a community builder, and as a champion for Lethbridge. So I believe that I'm the best candidate, and I'm offering that choice to the citizens of Lethbridge on October 18th, and I'm hoping they'll take me up on it.
Well, thanks so much for being with us today, Bridget. Appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Are kids any different than they were a few generations ago? Well, in one sense, kids will always be kids, but with the advent of technology and social media, there does seem to be a significant change as to how much physical activity our kids are getting involved in. Joining us to discuss this further is Daryl Devenish from FSQ Sport. He is a strength and conditioning coach and former phys ed teacher who specializes in youth development. Daryl, welcome to Bridge City News. You're joining us today from Toronto, right?
Yes. Hi, Jeanette. Thanks for having me on today. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Daryl, you just wrote an article in the National Post in which you write that we are in an epidemic of childhood inactivity and that there's a serious need to teach kids the fundamentals of movement. So tell me, how bad is this? You note that childhood obesity rates in Canada have nearly tripled over the past 30 years. That's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Well, first of all, the article sort of stir up some conversations, and what's happened is basically, it's brought on the underlying issues around COVID, and what's happened is you can see all the problems now with what's happened with sports and physical activity as a result of COVID. So the obesity rates, they were bad prior to COVID. Like, these were going up.
Mm-hmm.
So now, for a year now, we have people that have been sedentary, spending more times on screens, not socializing with their friends. They've kind of lost their routines. And those kids that played sports 3 to 4 times a week, well, they're not doing that anymore. Even our kids that were basically getting the bare minimum, like walking to school, kids that were playing at recess, they're not getting these things, and they're sitting at home eating and not moving. Yeah. So, this is why the rates, have skyrocketed over the last year, but they're already headed that way.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, especially with schools being locked down. So kids aren't getting that recess time, and they're not getting phys ed class, and they're not even walking to school anymore. It's crazy. So it's not just the physical health challenges of obesity, but it's also, of course, linked to depression and poor mental health. Like, all of this stems from lack of activity.
Correct. And, a lot of that is due, well, if you're being sedentary and you're sitting around, you're not feeling so good about yourself, it starts to affect your energy, your self-talk. Your self-talk becomes negative, and your mood, it lowers your mood. So this is where we are. None of us have been here before. Most kids, they've not been here. Adults haven't been here in this lockdown. So fear of the unknown, anxiety, depression. We have kids that are acting out now. They don't know how to behave. And if you're not comfortable, your clothes are starting to get tight, you gain some weight, you're not sure if you're going to be that person you were before. It's tough. Parents, it's tough on parents. Parents have to be home more, and they have to be, now they're the teacher, the phys ed teacher, they're trying to do their own work, and make sure they keep their kids entertained. So we're in a tough time.
Oh, gosh, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, getting kids involved in sports can turn those numbers around. It's just been hard during the pandemic, of course, because a lot of sports have been canceled. But this is something you're very passionate about. In fact, you say that sports saved your life. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
100%, Jeanette. First of all, I believe that sports is a dress rehearsal for life. Basically, there's so many lessons that you can learn from being on a team, working with others for a common goal, building, sports helps build confidence in yourself and your teammates, building connections through common interests, understanding how cultures work. This is how we do things. This is how our team plays. These are the little, rituals we have. It helps you learning about inclusion. Everyone's got to be included. Everyone gets a turn. Make people feel like they matter. Like these are things I learned from sports. When I say sports saved my life, I mean, this is where I got my confidence, that the playing field was even in the sport. That didn't matter what color you were, who you identified with, how much money you made. It's where everyone was the same. And I learned how to lose. I learned how to win. I learned that everything's not always going to go my way. You know what I mean? And so these are the lessons that I learned from sport. I also, and I'm grateful for this, I also got an education out of it. I got to go to a private school, which had a profound effect on me. So this is what sport does. And this is why you've heard me say, saved my life. I don't know what I've been doing. It kept me out of trouble. That's
For
the other
sure.
thing.
And it's a great, you're basically talking about it building character, right? It's a good character builder. And it also opens up those opportunities because it's true. Kids can possibly get scholarships for better schools, which is, that's a real door opener. Absolutely.
Well, that was a game changer for me.
Mm-hmm. So do you think,
100%.
do you think that interest in sports has dropped off dramatically for today's teens?
Well, research has shown that kids are dropping out of sports now by the age of 11. It used to be 13, right? So that's a few years back. I got three main key reasons for them dropping out. First and foremost, sports has become all about winning. It's not fun. If you're not having fun, you're going to quit. You know what I mean? And there's a big connection, and you kind of said it just now, is a big connection between playing sports and getting a scholarship or going pro. And if you start to realize around 11 or 12, I'm not that good. I'm not going to get a scholarship. I'm not going to, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be a pro. And what's the point of playing? So that sort of deters people. And then, I'll talk more to this afterwards, is lack of fundamental movement skills. If you didn't learn the ABCs as a kid, run, jump, skip, throw, you're not having a lot of fun because you're not that good. It's like not learning how to read when you're a little kid. You don't want to go and read in front of people if you're not a good reader. And then third is we're specializing kids way too early, and we're turning sports into a job. So by the age of 13, you're done. I'm tired. You're burnt out. So these are some of the things that are happening, and this is the reason why the team I work with, FSQ, we help sports organizations and parents and coaches build better experiences for kids to have active lives and quality sports experiences.
Oh, interesting. So you actually help kids to keep that interest beyond age 11 to 13.
And coaches and and administrators and organizations. That's what we do, and we got a big mission. To fix. I want to say, you're going to say you sound crazy. Fix sport, help kids with physical literacy and overcoming obesity and mental health challenges.
Absolutely. Now, one thing you note also is that public schools seem to be putting less emphasis and funding on education. Is that true?
Yeah. So what's happened, and as I said, I used to be a school teacher, and I've been in this industry now or working with kids now for 30 years. Over the years, the marginalization of phys ed at the elementary level, from let's say K to 8, has caused phys ed teachers to be generalists. So we don't have specialists anymore. We have generalists teaching fundamental movement skills. Now, if you're a generalist and you're not equipped with the right tools, or you don't know how to assess, and you're not giving a quality experience for these kids, and it's kind of like having your poorest teachers teaching kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, when they need the strongest teachers teaching kids how to read and write. Because if you build a great foundation, well, guess what? It's going to be easier to do other things later on. If you don't build a strong foundation, that's where we're having the biggest challenges. And if you don't, the kids aren't coming out with being confident, competent, later on for high school. So these are things that, help people become, they don't have to become a pro, but helps them lead to healthy, active living later on in life.
Right, because you talk about the fact that it's not just important for students to be active, but they also should be actually educated about physical activity.
Yeah, and what I'm referring to is we need to teach when I say fundamental movement skills, just for people listening, I'm talking about the ABCs of movement, like running, jumping, skipping, kicking, catching, throwing. If you don't learn these skills, well, you got problems. And this is where, if you build the confidence in the kids at an early stage, and you make sure that everyone gets it, the chances are they're going to have a better sport experience later on. They'll be open to trying more things. Like if someone says, hey, we're going to go play with the soccer ball later on today, and you have those skills a little bit, you have the basics, you'll be like, yeah, I'll come out. But if you don't have those skills, you're not going to come. And that's what we're not helping with the kids at the elementary stage. And that's the biggest challenge is we haven't equipped the teachers with the tools, and I said back to the generalist comment, with the tools to assess these kids and give them the best experience so they leave grade school with these being competent or at least proficient in these fundamental movement skills.
Now, we all know, of course, that playing some sports can be very expensive, and it can certainly be a barrier to low income or even sometimes middle income families to put their kids in those organized sports. So any thoughts on solutions to this?
Yeah, this is, I hear this a lot, and, we live in I hate to say it now, we live in a pay-for-play society. If you want your kid to learn how to play volleyball or basketball, you can't rely on the school system to teach them. They're not getting those skills there. So you got to go find a club. You got to go find, some coach to train them up and be proficient in volleyball. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we suggest is, in some communities, check out the recreational center, like the Parks and Recs. Parents, they have to sort of be involved now. They might have to play with them. They might have to set them up with their friends in games, after school programs. And these are things where it's not so much about being competitive. It's just a place to go and play some pickup basketball or learn how to play some soccer or spike ball. So these are some of the solutions that we're having. It's like not necessarily on a club team like a basketball team, but it's just pickup and it's games. And this is how you can expose people to, getting confident, but it starts with the community and everybody sort of being on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about kids that might be overweight, or even parents of kids who are overweight and they're thinking to themselves, it might be too late to do anything about this? Any advice for those folks?
Jan, it's never too late. First of all, never too late. So first of all, it starts with changing your mindset. You gotta have first you gotta want to do it. And this starts with, changing habits. Who do we want to be? We want to be a healthy family. Well, what does that mean? Well, a healthy family, we're going to go for a walk every day, guys. We're going to drink more water. We're going to make sure we get good sleep. We're going to start to eat cleaner, right? And we're going to manage our screen time now. So this starts with everybody's alignment in the home. This starts with, taking action. Like first there's awareness, then you got to come up with a strategy, and then there's an action plan. And that's what I'm basically trying to get the schools to do now is we need organizational alignment. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Teachers have to recognize how important this is and why they're doing it. So it gets done. Because if we just say, yeah, you should do this, it doesn't get done. And there's a lot of good teachers. And there's a lot of teachers that aren't doing it. They may not have the tools for whatever reason, or they don't have the passion, but we are not setting our kids up for success. If, and that goes at home. Parents have to step up. Teachers have to step up. Administrators, we all have to step up. I'm not calling out one group, calling myself out. I deal with it with my own kids.
Right. That is absolutely great advice there, Daryl, especially for the families of the kids. Great advice for anyone, actually. Thanks so much for being with us today, Daryl. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you. Listen, I just want to help. This is a movement, and it's our mission to sort of get this going as many as possible in the best environment possible for as long as possible.
Daryl Devenish from FSQ Sport is a strength and conditioning coach and former phys ed teacher who specializes in youth development. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.